Every 4 years, the USA votes, and the world is watching. After the last 4 years and the last 3 weeks, what do they see? Let's ask John Sitilides, geopolitical strategist with Trilogy Advisors. John is a diplomacy consultant to the United States Department of State. And John, I'm about to say something I have never said to any guest. Take 6 minutes to answer the following question, and pace yourself. How is this 2020 election perceived by world leaders and those they lead, and whose perception matters most?
Well, I'm going to start off with the obvious answer, Holland, and that's going to be China. And General Secretary Xi Jinping, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party, and the relationship that develops between a Biden administration and Beijing is going to form the strategic axis around which global commerce, global security, global governance, and global technology standards will revolve around and will be set. And the degree to which a Biden administration is also dealing with Chinese belligerence in Asia, in the South China Sea, against Taiwan, against Japan, against India, and now even countries in Central Asia will also be a major test. But we hope that we can get U.S.-China trade relations onto steadier ground, even as we're dealing with a technology Cold War that General Secretary Xi launched in 2015 under the rubric of Made in China 2025, so that China can one day become the global dominant power in about 10 to 12 leading technology sectors. So there's a full plate for a Biden administration to deal with, but China has to be number one.
Number two.
Well, the other great superpower is always Russia. And the relationship between President Biden and President Putin is going to be critical. Look, Russia is a very important country for the United States every day of the year, right? 1/8 of the world's landmass, a very, very rich country in terms of oil, natural gas, minerals, diamonds, timber, but also a very important country because it projects power in Asia, in the Middle East, in the Caucasus, and in Europe. But I think Vladimir Putin is looking for a different relationship with the Biden administration. From his perspective, I think he'd like to recalibrate relations with Washington so that Russia is no longer dealing with anti-tank weapons that are sold to the Ukrainian army, no longer dealing with oil and natural gas exports from the United States that are crushing Russia's export revenue, trying to deal with a different type of a NATO alliance where President Trump was able to get NATO countries to spend $100 billion more to beef up their defenses against Russia, and also looking to ease up dozens of sanctions imposed by the Trump administration against Russian financiers, business executives, and corporations.
Those certainly are number one and two. What are the other hot spots that are going to show up on Biden's map, John?
I think the relationship between the U.S. and Germany is going to be critical here, Holland. Clearly, there was a personal rancor between Chancellor Merkel and President Trump. And I think President Biden, who's very Eurocentric, has been in his decades in public service, is going to look to repair the relationship between the U.S. and Germany, because Germany, in a post-Brexit European Union, is clearly the economic driver of the bloc. And as Germany goes, so goes the European Union. And if there is going to be hope, at least for EU-US free trade talks in 2021, and also looking to see how the European Union can act as a geopolitical player on the European and world stage, because only France now, post-Brexit, is a nuclear military power inside the European Union. But the Germans also want tens of thousands of American troops to defend Germany against Russia, while Germany doubles its energy dependence on Russia and sends billions of dollars to Moscow. So these are issues that are going to have to be worked out by the Biden administration with Chancellor Merkel's successor, because she already announced she's resigning in 2021. So there'll be new leadership in Washington and new leadership in Berlin starting the second half of next year.
I remember that frosty photo op with Chancellor Merkel early on in the administration when Trump wouldn't shake her hand. Where else is watching us like a hawk? Are we looking over our shoulder at North Korea, Iran, Turkey? I got a couple of minutes left.
Well, let's take a quick look at two major Asian countries, Holland, if we might. Japan, first of all, is a very underappreciated ally. It's a critical ally of the United States when it comes to economics in the G7, in promoting democratic systems against a techno-authoritarian state that is now China, in promoting technological progress and advancements in compliance with the World Trade Organization, as opposed to China's deceptive intellectual property theft, and also working with India to provide for a security framework in Asia, Australia, Japan, India, and the U.S. to help check China's very belligerent activities. And India, in the same way, is the world's largest democracy, Holland. And it is potentially going to be receiving a number of the global supply chains that will be leaving China in the years to come. And it also is a great, great partner of the United States in terms of security and in terms of balancing China's activities in the Indo-Pacific region. And if we have a minute, I'll close with Turkey, if you think that's an appropriate country to mention here, because Iran has long been seen as one of the most dangerous countries in the world, and it continues to be the world's leading state sponsor of international terrorism. But the other great power now in the Middle East, in many ways, is Turkey, that's acting as a disruptor inside the NATO alliance. It is involved now in the military conflicts in Syria, in Iraq, in Libya, and is violating the exclusive economic zones of EU countries, Greece and Cyprus, in the Eastern Mediterranean. But if they do deploy the S-400 missiles they've acquired from Russia, you may see a Biden administration slapping very severe sanctions on Turkey in ways that are unpredictable for the U.S.-Turkey bilateral relationship and also for the NATO alliance.
John, this president-elect has a lot on his plate. I appreciate the summary you've just given us. John Sitilides, Trilogy Advisor.